Almost there. Almost there. Open that. Where's my art readers? There it is. Open that. I just noticed there's snare drum in just the right channel near the end there.
Nice. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Shadow and Sun Show, and welcome to another meeting of the Appendix and Book Club. Tonight we've got a book for you. Yeah, it was definitely a book.
KCG, do you have something to say for yourself?
Greetings, brother. How was your trip to Russia? Was the motherland great?
Duh.
That's what his
Duh.
hat reminds me of. I finished the book.
Did you?
Yeah, well, Shadow kind of like half-heartedly said, "Come on, dude, you got plenty of time." And
No, that was me.
No, both of you did that actually. Shadow's
Okay.
like, you got till 5 basically, and then you were like, "Come on, dude, you can do it." Basically.
Yeah, I finished.
I kind of thought we were actually addressing Dark Knight. It's been too long since he's joined us.
Yeah, no, he wasn't in the conversation.
I thought he was earlier. Okay, well, either way, Dark Knight, get your ass in here.
He said something about game night and being tired and work.
Yeah.
And homosexuality.
He just needs energy
There's a lot of
drinks.
that running around, I hear. First things first.
I told him not to visit your house.
Crafting. Did you enjoy the story?
No.
No?
There's one
Really?
key. The whole thing was okay at best, but there's one key aspect that would have made this thing better to begin with. I was thinking more along the lines of, I'm seeing the blood memories of my future kin before they're even born. Now, I would have accepted him saying, I remember what happened in my previous generations of my family, and mankind once had a great space empire. That would have bugged me far less.
Yeah, there really should have been an afterword about this. If you're going to go to all that length to build up the one character that can remember
the
future, wind it all up at the end. That was kind of, to me, just what's the point? It was completely like
that could have been cut from the story. This isn't like a literal thing in writing where like most writers start too early in writing, and I catch myself all the time with that. Like the last story I just wrote, I had the characters driving on the road to the highway, and I cut that shit before I put it in the Google Doc. They started out of the parking lot going into the thing, and I could probably cut that too. This guy could have cut that from the story, and it would have made no fucking difference to it whatsoever.
Probably made it better, really.
Probably, because you promised me a story about a guy that can remember the future and didn't deliver that story.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, Justin.
Hey, Doc.
Oh, sorry, I got to get the freaking chat. I'm running a little bit behind, and if you haven't noticed, folks.
Hey.
What's up, Doc?
I remember that from Monday. I remember the past.
Did you like the story, Justin?
It had a lot of elements that, if they weren't from the 1950s, like
30s?
1957 was when this book came out.
No, it first came out in a magazine in the 1930s. It was edited. It was edited over the years.
And probably updated because it references World War II.
Right.
Like in hindsight and with things that happened near the end of the war.
Right.
So,
the beginning section of the book when that was completely unnecessary. But did you like it?
No. There were characters that were grating. There were for the time it was written, like you were saying on my show yesterday, I could understand it, but you know, it was like it's not as bad as that thing where they used to just like take cowboy stories and then rewrite them for space to get them into magazines.
Yeah.
It's not as bad as that. If you're gonna do a space western, make it a space western and not just a western
in space
rebranded.
Right.
But no, the story was weak, thin. It was very thin in like stuff happening, and there were a lot of things that were just like, and then he got out of it.
Uh-huh.
There's no actual struggle or description of action.
A lot of timing and a lot of coincidence saving his ass, and not to mention all of this. He gets a broken ship, so it's going to take him at least twice as long to get there. Oh, and then he's getting chased, which takes him even longer. It's like, how strong is this woman?
Right.
How pretty is this woman?
For me, there like Justin said, there were a lot of elements that I kind of get a little enjoyment out of. But I noticed,
Yeah,
and I should have wrote this down, but I could see that there were some famous stories that came later that did in fact borrow from this. I could see Lucas borrowing from this, and what was the other one? Maybe even Babylon 5.
They're like the shadows are like the black spider ships. Like those are the fucking shadow ships.
Kind of.
Yeah.
And I hate to say it, but there's some things that were in this story that I've used in one of my really long campaigns. The tentacle guys, the ships, a lot of those things. I having never read this story before, I have done some of these things, but it was very much like a Buck Rogers or Flash Gordon. Clearly, either
campy that way too.
Inspired it or were inspired from it. Like I said yesterday on your show, they called this the Gosh Wow style, which is very much that G. Willikers, Jinkies kind of almost for kids, ours for rocket style. I could see that this was written for that sort of an audience, but initially I thought this was written by that sort of audience. If I had been told that this was written by a 14-year-old kid, I would not have been surprised even one tiny little iota. It was so juvenile in so many respects, but at the end,
wholesome.
I'm a sucker for a happy ending. I liked the last page and a half. The way it was a little predictable and a little forced, but at the same time, it had like a cuteness to it that I'm like, yay! The guy gets the girl. Always a sucker for that, and you knew that was going to happen. But
there's like 6 more books in the series.
Oh yeah,
you're kidding.
No.
Oh jeez. Yeah,
they're all on the list.
Jeez,
like they are all on the list.
We are not covering those books. I vote one vote right now. We are not covering the rest of these books.
Second that vote wholeheartedly.
I'm okay with that, but I'm saying like this is one of the cases where the series was named out and not just the author.
Oh. Gary, what were you thinking? Or was it Dave? Let's blame it on Dave. Right?
I'm okay with blaming it on Dave. Just like that song from Kids in the Hall, these are the Daves I know, and fuck them all.
Well, even though I don't play D&D.
Long time no see, man.
This is where we find out Crapping's real name is Dave.
It's David, so it's very close.
Dave is the short form for David, bro.
I know.
Of course you know.
But
I know.
There was an aspect of this book that I could definitely see made its way into D&D, even though I don't play D&D. I don't know if there's any creatures that are based exactly off of those tentacle guys.
Medusa.
Yeah, Medusa. But after giving a full description, it's like put eyes at the end of those tentacles and a big mouth, and they're freaking beholders.
Almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, like very, very close.
Oh, it's far from the best he wrote. That's that's good to hear. I'm hoping, like I said, he wrote this when he was in his early teens and got lucky. And but I know deep down in the cockles of my soul that is not the case. um, we're gonna avoid the M word till later, okay, guys? Can we just hold off on that because we all have a lot to say about that. I came up with a
The M
theory.
word?
The M word. We were talking about it before the show, you and me, Justin.
Okay, I totally forgot.
Okay, cool. Let's go right off with the usual favorite character. Do you have one, Justin?
Oh, I remember the
Thank you. I knew
the
you
M
would.
word now.
Just took a second.
Gee golly, uh, by my mortal soul, my
Yeah,
favorite character is BB. Zabibi, or whatever the fuck his
let's tackle that in a couple of questions down the road
name.
because
Sorry,
it's
but
not. It's possibly the best content we're going to get from this.
he's my favorite
Bird.
character because he's the only character.
Who was that?
BB, there's a BB or whatever the fuck his name was. The fat guy,
Giles.
Giles. No,
The guy always
no,
talking about food.
yeah.
Yeah. So what'd you like about him besides his very limited vocabulary? Well, it wasn't really limited, to be honest.
He had a personality. He
He
had
did.
a personality.
He was
this
the most
thick.
colorful of characters.
Even though I missed
Oh.
part of that grabbing my apron because I got a wired set up now. I'm pretty sure I know which character you're talking about because he's the only character in there, which is the
It almost
Englishman.
seems that way. John Starr. I mean, seriously? Are you fucking kidding me? Excuse my French, but what
Yeah.
the shit?
No, that's literally a character name for kids, right? Like, what was it, Zarul, or what was the fucking the other name? I don't remember it. I have to look it up. I was about to do that, but
Yeah, the main hero, if you will, the guy who gets the girl, the guy who gets the throne, and everything else, the girl, the gold watch, and everything, was the most boring. He was literally like Fred from Scooby Doo. You know, everybody else was more interesting
Yeah.
and didn't have everything handed to them on a golden platter.
yeah.
How about you, Crafting? Favorite character? Same one? Or
Yeah,
somebody different?
the Englishman. He is really, admittedly, the only reason why I continued listening. I don't usually like complainers, but he complained in such a colorful way.
I'm telling you, normally I don't like to play characters like
The
that,
Englishman.
but I'm definitely gonna kind of.
I did not get English from that guy.
He had kind of a British accent. Oh, I need someone to do me a favor.
I got Turk. I got educated Turk.
Really, I pictured more Scottish, to be honest. But yeah, definitely the hero of kids' books. Grumpy. This, even though it was a pulp magazine, and pulp magazines were often rather racy, depending on the title of the magazine or what have you. This clearly wasn't one of those. It was a step up from or below Archie comics in a way.
In
Yeah.
that vein, the Lensman is
When I was listening, we all listened to the same audiobook, right?
the one on
Probably.
YouTube.
Yeah.
the-
Okay.
The one that
I
was in the group
am
chat.
convinced that the narrator is the same guy who voiced Zap Brannigan from Futurama.
You can look that up.
I will, because the character Matlock, you may not remember him, but that voice was freaking dead on Zap Brannigan from Futurama. I bet money on it. I'm probably wrong, but I would be willing to bet money on it. It was just like, oh my god, that's Zap Brannigan, and of course he got killed early on. And not that I liked the character or disliked the character; it was just there. But my favorite character was actually the other bad guy, not the sniveling, whiny one, but the other one who had paid for John's schooling and things like that. he had a really dignified, kind of lawful evil sort of, and not really all that evil. Just, what are you supposed to do when you're that guy? You do those things. He wasn't malicious or sure he wanted to rule the world, but he wasn't like, you know, your classic mustache twirling and the world enslave everybody kind of evil. He
Yeah.
seemed, he was also regretful for some of the things that he'd done. He got tricked and blah blah blah, as opposed to the sniveling uh, Eric, I guess it was his name, the other bad guy who was. You always got to have a bad guy like that. Your Saruman at the end of the Lord of the Rings, and so many other characters that are, that kind of sort of sniveling, just spoiled rotten bad guy through and through kind of character to
The
round
guy
out.
that voiced Zap Brannigan was Billy West.
Oh, it was Billy West.
Was Billy West, but the
Oh, okay.
narrator was somebody
Oh,
named. Fuck! I just saw it. Not Billy West. The
okay.
narrator for this
That's
book
weird. I
was.
would have never guessed that Billy did that voice too. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was wrong. Some people want to rule the world to hurt others. Some want to rule the world because they think they would do a good job. Yeah, yeah.
Well, in his case, he more thought it was his birthright.
Yeah.
And in a way, it was.
After a fashion, yeah. The real problem I had with it is, okay, so it's humans and other humans, right? Like, great, you have these two factions that like there could have been a good Civil War story in there.
Mhm.
But then you have these aliens that are just like, they're little more than tools. Like, there's no
No.
characterization of
Well,
any of them whatsoever.
and I kind of can see that if you're trying to depict them as alien beyond our understanding, very H.P. Lovecraft esque. But there wasn't a name. Not one of them had a name. Not one of them had any personality or any originality.
And you, like, it's suggested that it's possible because the
So,
bad guys talk to them. Yeah, he's wearing his RTC, his uniform.
Yeah.
you getting ready to take off?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Going on with me, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, come give me a hug before you go. Have
Oh,
fun.
look, the penguin.
I think that would have been a lot more interesting. Uh, Starting with naming conventions, all throughout the whole story was just awful in a lot of cases. But the
Yeah.
purples,
Oh no.
I know,
Well,
right?
that's like, they did that in Rome, and like even the English and the French did that, like the red coats and
mhm,
the blue coats and such. But
the brown coats in Firefly,
yeah,
but just the
it's
purples made it seem more like a sports team or some sort of high school,
yeah.
clique. It was just like
It,
really just go come back to it. Come up with something better. The Purple Legion, uh,
mm,
the Purple Gang. I mean, even Elvis did it better. Just like what? It was just so so immature in so
yeah,
many facets of this.
I would
So
expect better from a cartoon.
yeah, very very
Oh,
very true. Uh, but I'm trying to think of this from a 1930s through 50s perspective. This would have still been like amazing for its time. You know what I mean? It
mm,
was very, very out there compared to the normal 99.9% of standard literature throughout that era. There were very few things that were this grandiose, other than maybe going and diving into more pulp fictions.
I find it funny. He gets like the distance of Barnard's star correct, right?
Mm.
But then, as he's describing things in the solar system, like, they set up a base on the moon, right? Like, how did they set up a base in the moon?
Without getting bombed to shit because everyone freaking noticed.
Exactly. Like we got Mars colonies and shit, and we got forts on Pluto,
Pluto.
but we don't notice aliens setting up a fucking base on the moon.
Right, and the way they built things, you would think you'd see a big black freaking mile high walls and crap. Would they just freaking burrow in and say, "All right, we're in"? I don't know.
Yeah.
I really would have liked to have seen something more from the aliens than an H.P. Lovecraft ripoff, because I really got that impression that he'd read some Lovecraft and went, I got my aliens. Sure, they're alien, all
Yeah,
right.
yeah. Well,
Alien to the point of being uh, ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, least favorite characters. Crafting, do you have one?
Uh,
good.
I just have to say the aliens in general, just because they were so bland.
I know with as fantastical as they looked, the big four giant eyes, the ball, the tentacles, the floating organ, that allowed them to float. That was freaking creepy. It was like
Yeah.
reading that, the glowing thing when he finally looked up and saw. It was like, it's like helping that cute chick with on the ladder, and you look up and it's not a chick, kind of. Ooh, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was just like, come on, dude, have them speak, for Christ's sake.
Well, they had a fucking translation device. Like, even if it was while they were in the cell, you hear like shit coming through the intercom. Sorry,
you
the
imagine
speaking
how
tubes,
ominous
because
it could
everything
have
is a
been?
tube.
Think of how ominous their choice of words could have been if they had spoken to them.
They could have been
When the bad guy, I forget what his name was, the same as the hero's real last name or whatever. When he was
Olar.
yeah. When he was talking and clicking and whistling to them, instead of like repeating like one ominous sentence, he's just like vague, about what they had told him. Like, one, they would tell him all that history in such a short period in conversation, and why would they? Like everywhere they go, they have to introduce themselves as how they were, old when the earth was new, whatever that line was.
Well, I could see if they said that we were old when you were children.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that being the gas.
But we didn't get a single quote from them.
Yeah.
Did you have a least favorite character, Justin?
Cousin Olnar, the one that originally captured Princess What's Her Face.
Eric?
Eric. No.
The other.
No. Worse than him. The stupid green counselor at the beginning.
Oh.
The one that, like, it's hard because they're all like fucking cardboard cutouts of characters.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's either Eric or like one of the counselors or whatever.
Okay, not the one that I had mentioned.
Not the one at the end.
No. The big guy who paid for John's schooling.
Yeah, no, not that one.
Okay, then he was so minor, I don't even remember him.
Yeah.
For me, it was half of the time it was Giles. He was so repetitive in his whining, but yet, I mean,
I want my bottle of wine. My bottle of wine.
I get it if you're, a pudgy, fish-eyed, purple-nosed, freaking alcoholic who just wants to be lazy, but he was competent as shit. He was like a mega genius, but yet, I see it as it would come off better live, with a real person or a cartoon character saying those things, the constant, pining for his bottle of wine or the food or what, or, anything but wanting to do anything but what he's doing. But at the same time, he's on this freaking epic adventure And
Well, it's not an adventure to him. It's an adventure
right,
to people that read about it.
right,
Um,
but even Sam seemed a little less annoying from the Lord of the Rings.
yeah,
A little more. This sucks, Mister Frodo, but got to keep going. You
yeah.
know,
And there were like hints of so much glory in the story, like when they're on Earth, and the one guard is like feral and eating people
uh-huh.
near the end. It's like, why are we only getting this one scene? Why isn't this like
Yeah.
2 or 3
Already, we're talking about the
chapters?
book Legion of Space by Jack Williamson.
Yeah, yeah. This is a book club, not a movie club.
Okay, Grumpy. So this was a 6-part in the Astounding magazine series
Yeah,
tradition, and that explains some of it, and the reiterating of the character traits, I guess, with Giles. But at the same time, even though part of me hated that character, part of me couldn't help but laugh my ass off with some of the things and the ways he acted.
I,
It
I I will say, if you edited them together, you could have trimmed the repetitiveness of
mhm.
it.
And now we come to the most cardinal of repetitive sins in this novel, the M word.
Mortal, mortal this, mortal
I
that.
mortal freaking everything. I almost want
I,
to.
I assume it's an expletive.
Exactly. I was like, if I just put the word fuck or fucking in place of mortal, it all sounds perfectly legit.
Yeah,
Or blasted, or because
damn.
he kept using it in ways that only the F word works. Nobody ever spoke like that or used that word like that. But I could see
Well,
it. Maybe this guy was the writer was
he
a
was
little
from
more
Venus after
edgy,
all.
and maybe uh, there were other words, but he couldn't use them because it was, potentially going out to the public with children reading it. So maybe it was like code for an expletive or something. It was just so.
That's tradition in science fiction from up until
What
the
is exactly?
80s. Like, just if you want a character swearing, you just give them a random word.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I recognize that in Zelazny's work. He would say damnation or hellfire or blazes, things like that instead of hell and other things like that. So but it was always something different. It wasn't the same word every couple of pages guaranteed in this way.
The guy swore like a sailor, but you'd think he would
Wow.
have different. What?
He wrote from the 1920s all the way to the 2000s.
Yeah, yeah.
That's freaking amazing that someone didn't freaking stop him.
By force.
Kidding, I'm kidding. Like I said, if this was that early in his career and he was cutting his teeth, so to speak,
Yeah.
and got published in something, because Astounding wasn't just a trashy little magazine. It was kind of a big deal for a while. So,
So you said this was in the late 30s.
yeah, like 1934, the first time it was
Okay.
published.
Okay. And he was born in 1908.
Okay.
So you do the math. Maybe he was like 15 when this was written.
Well, if he was born in '08 and he was writing in
And it was
the
published. It was.
20s, that was 12 years old.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like,
If he literally wrote something at 12 years old and got published,
yeah. Okay. I changed my mind. If he was like 12 when he wrote this, or 15, uh, okay, whatever. It's fine. It's perfectly good.
he was 26 when he wrote this, so yeah. But then again, 1938 and being 26,
You
I don't
said
know how.
38. 38. Yeah,
It
okay.
was 34. It was 1934, I believe.
34. So yeah.
No worries,
So
nerdy. So if he wrote this in 34, he was born in 08. 26. Okay, but it gives some insight because if to what it
26.
must have been like then. Think about
Well, you have to write it before it's published, so you
sure.
don't know how long it sat on the shelf. So it could have been
Mhm.
like 6 months, a year. Like you've done this thing with me on Fridays now. You know
Mhm.
it takes a lot longer than just 20 minutes at the typewriter
Yeah.
to write
Well,
something.
and typing on a typewriter actually, uh, if you just if you just sat and typed it out with a typewriter versus a keyboard, it actually takes longer on a typewriter by leaps and bounds because of the racking the key the typewriter, loading the paper, all that stuff. Even if it
Yeah.
was a magical typewriter that didn't have to do any of that, it's still actually harder to type. It takes nanoseconds longer for each keystroke, kind of thing, and it would add up over time. But I was thinking, if this is uh, let's say acceptable writing style and maturity level of the 30s at his age and being 26, it kind of makes me wonder what the rest of the people in the world were like because he would have been considered, an intellectual writing this.
No, no, not back
Not even
then.
a little.
This kind of writing back then was considered very
Well,
like dim-witted.
in
Like,
comparison to modern times, you'd have to be something of an intellectual to write something like this. Clearly better. Let's assume that you could write something like this, but better.
oh, I know that, like, the story, the series I keep telling you to pick up, the Prince Roger,
Uh,
is in the same vein as, like, the guy sent he has to go and do some things, and ends up having to wander around the jungle for a while. Yeah, it's like there are echoes of this story in there, but it's a far better because there's characters, right? There are actual characters in modern writing. Modern writing requires you to actually have character development and growth, and there's literally none of it in this story.
that's true. Grumpy.
Well,
He could have
sorry,
sat on an editor's shelf for months, if not years.
and you don't know how long it was before he sent it out too, right? It could have sat on his desk for months and years as well.
You did your homework, Grumpy. Why aren't you in here, man? You know where the link is, right? It's the
Yeah.
top of my Discord channel.
Yeah,
This
if you
is
read the
the first
book,
I ever
that's
heard of
the
this author or ever read anything of him, and it's definitely not the worst thing we've reviewed in the time we've been doing this. But
yeah. The last two were worse.
yeah,
Moonpool and Facing the Frost were worse stories by far. Uh,
except for the traversing of the planet, going through the. Okay, before I even go in there, yellow water, really?
yeah, there's
Yeah.
supposed to be some toxin in it or something.
I'm just like, okay,
Yeah,
I'm not drinking
you're
yellow water.
you're in piss water,
I'm just not
piss
doing my
water
diet,
world.
you know, because this is like eons of piss. You know what I mean? It doesn't even get filtered, through the process of evaporation and rain. It still comes down to the color of piss. Just
You better hope it's piss.
right.
Yeah, piss world, piss world.
But the time from the sinking of the ship in the ocean, which was like really
Yeah,
okay,
well,
okay, I
it's
get it.
just off the shore or whatever.
Yeah. But how about getting the freak out of it before you have to, you know? I mean, maybe they didn't. Okay, fine. It went down too fast, and okay, but
Well, they were
they're only
also
going to
hoping
bring
they'd be
a
able to get
tiny
back
little
out.
bundle of supplies. That must be grumpy. They're only going to bring
Yeah,
that tiny little uh, ration of supplies.
yeah.
Clothes and a couple of pistols. Didn't they have Ziploc bags to keep them
No,
dry?
those things hadn't been invented in the
I
50s
know.
or
I
30s,
know.
so they
I
couldn't write
know.
about them.
Welcome to the show, Grumpy.
Greetings.
You seem to know a ton about this. What do you got to say about it?
Well, to be honest, I haven't read Legions of Space. Like I read it like 30 years ago, so I don't want to talk specifics because I don't remember it enough. But I know
Okay.
quite a bit about Jack Williamson because he's an author I actually really like.
Oh, really?
Yeah. What I find fascinating about him is you read this stuff, it really reads like typical 30s SF, and at that, it is better than the average stuff that was published back then.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. For sci-fi.
But if you read his stuff from the 50s, it reads like typical 50s SF, and at that, better than the average stuff that was published at the time. And if you read the stuff he wrote in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s, it's always like that. He keeps up with the times. We're talking about a guy like I mentioned in the chat. When he was a kid, he was like 3 or 4. His parents were farmers. They got to New Mexico in a Conestoga wagon. He wanted to write, but typing on one of those old typewriters makes a lot of noise, and he had to work on the farm, so he could only do it at night. So he built and wired a shed with electricity so he could type there at night.
Wow.
And he
That's
was like
pretty remarkable.
a teenager at the time. And in the 70s, he got a word processor.
Wow.
Like he kept up, he never stopped. Like when people in the 70s and 80s were saying, you're going to get my typewriter out of my cold dead hands, he was there like, fuck this, I'm getting one of those computer things and a word processor. Way better.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe you could recommend us something down the road that was like maybe the height or one of his better, more modern novels, so that we could do a retrospect later.
Sure. I mean, offhand, there's his Humanoids, which is basically men invent like humanoid robots to help them, and they program them to be help mankind and not harm them and prevent any harm from coming to people. And so those robots take over everything, prevent you from doing anything because there could be danger. Oh, you can't chop those vegetables, you could cut yourself, let me do that for you. And it's basically how that happens and then how humanity revolts against it. And it's really good. He's got another series called CT, which is spelled Seetee, which is also really good. There's a trilogy he wrote called the Star Child trilogy, also very good. And one that I really enjoyed, though people are a bit ambivalent about it. It's not as good as some other stuff. It's about these people who are exploring. Basically, they find out there's this big thing coming towards us in space. Let's go and check it out. And it's a Dyson sphere. And there are people living on it, but they don't know they're living on, they're not the ones who built it. They don't know they're on this huge thing. So I don't know if you know what a Dyson sphere is, but it's
absolutely. I'm literally in a GURPS game that's exactly like what you just described.
Okay, yeah. So yeah.
It also sounds a little bit like Rendezvous with Rama, but
yeah. It has some aspects of that, though very different, because they spend most of the time trying to figure out how come there's humans there.
Did you ever read Beyond Worlds Collide, the sequel to the movie When Worlds Collide, Grumpy?
I think we lost him. He cut out halfway through. Yeah, we lost him.
Okay. Well, come on back when you're ready. Did everybody tell me their least favorite character?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, there he is again. So around the board, usual question I ask is: would you recommend this to anyone?
I would not recommend Legions of Space if I was going to recommend Jack Williamson. There's tons of other stuff I would recommend instead. If you want to see what 30s science fiction was like, then yes, I would recommend it, but there's a lot of caveats about it.
I'll say.
Mm-hmm.
Crafting, you agree? Or
Yeah.
maybe there's someone you don't like and you'd recommend this to them?
Yeah, there's that too.
No, that would be Moonpool.
Okay. And Justin, same thing.
Yeah, it would also be Moonpool if there was somebody I didn't like. Yeah.
It's funny because like both Moonpool and Face in the Frost, I
Facing
even
the Frost or Facing the Abyss?
Face in the
Frost.
Frost. Okay.
Yeah, I've already forgotten those two novels,
It's 2 weeks
and
ago.
this novel,
Okay.
I've just about forgotten most of it as well. So much of it was just like I was saying earlier, the segment where they go from the ship in the yellow water all the way to where the aliens live. It took them months, and Crafting, you'd said, how strong is this girl they're trying to rescue is being tortured daily by these aliens? No kidding, right?
Yeah.
The other
Just-
guy, the trained soldier, is withered away and begging for death, and she's just like, "I'm fine."
Yeah.
Right. Pure heart type of, perfect woman,
Yeah.
paragon of virtue and strength. Very very Princess Leia like in a
Mhm.
way. When you think about the Death Star interrogation sequence, she's literally unfazed. Her hair's still perfect.
Yeah.
Just like, you kidding me, right? They really don't know how to torture people in the future, do they? Or maybe they send them to the washroom when they're done. Okay, go clean yourself up. We'll be back
Well,
tomorrow.
technically, what was supposed to happen there is why she's always looks so good is because she was supposed to have gotten a truth serum, and she somehow resisted it.
Hmm.
Right, but I got the impression from Eric's statements that he was torturing her in other ways.
No,
Yeah,
I was talking about Leia.
Oh,
As for that princess, oh dear God, I'm pretty sure the aliens had not only mind raped her, body fooled her. I'm pretty sure they had him physically rape her.
Well, yeah,
clearly they didn't because
that
of
was
the
not
era.
listed,
But had the story been written today, there would definitely be overtones of that, unless they're trying to keep it as PG-13 as possible.
that happened in the Prince Roger series. I keep telling you to read.
Okay.
Off
also-
screen.
It also happened in the Robotech novels. Min-May
Yep.
got freaking ran through by the entire crew of whatever his name was. But yeah. Anyways, yeah, it's just it's so hard to try and put ourselves in the frame of reference of damn near 100 years ago.
Yep.
And I really kept trying to do that because I know somewhere down the road, either this book is going to be completely forgotten, in 20, 30 years, that there won't be any copies and no one will look up that file, to find out about it, or someone is going to borrow,
I endorse that statement.
or they're going to borrow from this left and right and try to remake it somehow. When they run out of.
I endorse your statement that there will be no more copies of this.
Yeah, I literally, I was talking to Raven earlier, and I was like, yeah, I won't. I'm unless I buy a pile of books and it's in it, I'm probably never going to own this in hardcover or hard copy. How about you, Grumpy? Do you own it?
Do I own it? That's a good question. I don't think I have Legions of Space.
All 6 volumes or 7 volumes?
No. I don't think I do. Most of the Jack Williamson.
We lost him again. Yeah. He's about
Well,
to disappear.
going back to what he said earlier, would you guys be up to reading something of his later down the road to see how he or if he truly improved, or if he just
Open up the Google Doc, Shadow,
and
and make a note that when it comes around to Jack Williams, we read something else by him.
I just carded it. I'll do
Yeah,
that.
but you know, put it
Yeah,
in the Google Doc.
because there was enough of this. There was enough. There was something to keep the guy going to write this story, and there was something that I wanted to see the end of it. You know what I mean? I was like, okay, where are they going to go? I kind of nailed it. As to obviously happy ending. The good guys win, the bad guys lose. But I still I didn't have as hard a time pushing through this one as I did Conan and Spider God,
Mm.
or Facing the Frost, or whatever the other one was. I already forgot the name of it.
Compared to Moonpool and Face of the
Thank you.
Frost, Spider God, it was not that bad.
Okay. What the hell was the Akak, or whatever the hell it was?
It destroyed matter, which is the most impractical weapon ever devised.
It's a disintegrator gun.
That
was
is
it-
like the size of a baseball.
was it really?
And
I mean,
destroys whatever.
They made it out of
You
a
know what I mean.
communicator.
Yeah, but
They're like principles that we were too dumb to realize yet, even 100 years later. It reminded me of that. Remember in that Star Trek episode where Kirk and Spock are in a prison and they take a metal beam, a slat from the bed, and they somehow fashion a laser gun out of it and cut the bars to their prison cell with sunlight. You remember that?
yeah, I
It
have
reminded
chewing
me
gum,
of that.
string, and elastic. Of course, I could build a teleporter.
Yeah. Now, if they'd taken the metal slat and just like used it as a saw, you can do that.
Mm-hmm.
But no,
It'll fuck
they,
the metal slat up, but you'll eventually get through the bar.
I was just like, okay, I realized that the people reading this are like, oh yeah, this makes perfect sense. They come back to the story in 75 years and
Yeah.
and
I
one
just
slap
need
Jack
an iron
with his own
nail.
novel.
There's no iron on the planet.
I can't even imagine, what he was thinking that this was, what kind of science, what kind of parts were in a communicator that could be rewired, and why nobody came across that before. And it was almost like Star Wars, the Force kind of.
Yeah.
Technology.
But
yeah.
back then, like radios they were often still called wireless, right? And people actually didn't know what the limits of what you could do with radio was. So that's where they came up with things like power beams, so you wouldn't need to have electrical wires everywhere. And they came up with all sorts of stuff because they really didn't know what the limits were. Now we know, but back then we didn't know. And I'm sure today people assume some stuff about, I don't know, genetic technology or nanotechnology. And
what,
in 50 or 100 years, people will say, well, they had it so wrong. And it's going to be
I don't know if you guys have been
AI is
following.
going to take us all over with the speech to text is going to rule the world.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Bro.
Have you guys been following the drone stories that have been going on
A few of them.
in New Jersey and everywhere? There's drones everywhere, blah, blah, blah. I noticed one thing that I kept hearing, which was a crazy, but maybe not, technology that they were attributing to the drones, was the ability for drones to drain the power of other drones through the air, just slurp out their energy. And if we remember some of the things they said about Tesla, he was trying to do kind of the same freaking thing. Maybe that is actually a technology we're just not privy to, and that would be a great way to power your drones, is to just suck energy out of the air or from other people's gadgetries, like other drones, to keep your drones up in the air. So
Yeah.
maybe there's stuff. I'm not an electrician. It's not my thing
No.
whatsoever. But
No.
But
Trust me,
people come up
no.
with that today. I don't see how that could be done. But so 90 years ago, why would they come up with stuff like that too?
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, we're still okay with transporters and tractor beams and
Hmm.
things like that. 50 plus years later, and like, yeah, sure, no problem. I'm going to throw that in my story too. So
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like we know it's science magic,
mm,
but it's not delivered to us in a way that's like condescending or like
like the Aka.
the
Hmm.
Aka, right? Like I'm gonna take some AA batteries out of this thing and turn it into a nuclear warhead, right? It's like the MacGyver joke that
Right.
Sly made a
For
minute
want of a
ago.
nail, really?
Yeah,
None of you have belt buckles? Come on, what's going on here?
exactly. None of you have fucking belt buckles. None of you have like keys or a
Can opener, a
wristwatch
Swiss Army
or
knife, something.
nothing in the supplies you brought. The limited your
Although,
canned your
I
canned
got the
food didn't
impression,
have a pull tab on it that had metal in it.
well, it had to be iron. And where did he get the iron? From like a toy fire truck, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, something like that. I don't remember.
I can't help but wonder if that scene of taking the axle from the fire truck was something like similar to something that actually happened to him. I could picture him, being on the
Yeah.
farm, like you were saying, Grumpy,
Oh yeah.
where his parents were tossing out his toys and him looking and going, "Oh, it's my favorite fire truck," and then years later, taking that bit of his life and implanting it. There was something about the scene with all the garbage that was there that seems to me like that was that's not exactly something I would have pulled out of my hat if I needed an ingredient to finish up a story. They need this MacGuffin, some piece of normally mundane material. Where would I pull it from? Like I said, belt buckle, right? But
Hmm.
he pulled it from something that seems somewhat personal. Did you guys get that impression at all?
Hmm.
Yeah, that
And
makes sense.
and I like that. That's one of the reasons we enjoy our books the way we do is because you know we get a little look inside that author's head, even when we don't realize it. A little
Yeah,
little actual personal memories that they
sometimes.
solidify on paper.
Yeah, well, it depends on how good of a writer they are.
Right.
Yeah, of
Uh,
course.
I just want to say I've never walked around the haunted mansion fucking fairies or vampires for future reference, and I've never been tag teamed by two minotaurs.
Okay. That the reason he's saying that, Grumpy, the
Yeah.
three of us we're part of a writing club, and we
Okay.
write stuff every roughly 4 to 6 weeks. We write something. We challenge each other with a new prompt for our
Hmm.
next story. Do you do any writing?
No, I improve the average quality of writing in the world by not doing any.
I bring it down.
That was
And more degenerate.
Yeah. The
right.
only stuff I write is nonfiction, and of course my games. I sort of, you could say, I write them.
Okay.
When I'm running
For
a
the
game.
record, Grumpy, what do you play?
I mostly play, well, D&D OSC type stuff.
Good for you.
Uh, Playing Gamma World. I would say I'm running a Gamma World campaign, but we've been on a hiatus for 6 months now. So
You used
we're
to play
hoping.
again World
Yeah,
Campaign.
exactly.
I'm
Well,
sorry to hear that, bro. That
we're
that is one of my top 10 favorite games of all time. I know it's so goofy and gonzo and corny at times, but you know what? Uh, it was so good that Fallout is a thing. You know what I mean? If it hadn't been for Gamma World, sure somebody probably would have written something, but we can directly trace it back to Gamma World. And one of these days, I'm gonna actually run a Gamma World game, maybe on my either on my channel or on my Discord at some point. Yeah, nerdy. We're kind of getting that impression. Thank you, Grumpy, for coming on, because we would have just panned this and just ripped him a new one, continued on our merry way,
Yeah.
and never gave him the benefit of the doubt. But I'm now actually intrigued with this guy's.
Yeah, he's a
life story.
fascinating guy. He's a fascinating guy, and coming up with things that we consider like an everyday word, terraforming. He invented that word. Like, whoa, which means he also like thought about the idea of it. Let us change the planet so it's more friendly for humans to live there.
So, did you guys have a favorite scene in this book? Start with you, Crafting, because you've been awfully quiet. Did you have a favorite scene?
Favorite scene. Yeah.
Something that's going to stick with you. No worries.
Nah, not really. Honestly, I mean, I can't say I have scenes I particularly hate, but as for one favorite scene, all of it was just meh.
Mm-hmm. Okay, was there a scene you hated, Crafting?
By the time they brought the ship out of the sea, because what's his name was still alive and he's called them for help. It's like, oh god, more of the it just happened to happen that way bullshit. I hated that.
Okay.
So pretty much every scene after that was that, which was a lot of that. That's pretty much the rest of the fucking book.
What was coincidence?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's indicative of the time period.
Yeah.
Best I can tell us. A lot of.
How about you, Justin?
My favorite scene. There was a scene that really intrigued me. I mentioned it already. Was right before he found the fire truck you were talking about. There was the guard that had gone feral and was eating someone's thigh, like gnawing on a femur.
Mm-hmm.
And like that would have been like if being in that world for more time would have been more visceral and suspenseful, a little less of coincidence and a little more consequence for what's happening described on the page. But you couldn't write that at the time. Just the people didn't think that way. The fact that he wrote that scene was like shocking for the time it was written.
Yeah, especially for Astounding, because you could find scenes sort of like that in a horror pulp.
Right.
People expected it there, but they wouldn't have expected it in Astounding, which was billed itself as a science fiction magazine.
Yeah.
Grumpy, do you have a favorite or least favorite scene that you can remember from this?
It's too far.
Okay.
When you mention something, like, oh yeah, I remember something about the fire truck, but I can't just recall anything. It's been like 3 decades. Give me a break.
Wow. That's nothing to Jack Williamson.
Yeah, I know, right? So
for me, I said both things earlier. Anytime the more developed bad guy would speak, maybe it had something to do with the narrator, but I got the impression of a very complex character that wasn't just your typical bad guy, even though he was the more competent of the bad guys. He just seemed like a really classy bad guy. And then of course the end where oh shucks, she'd never, fall for me. Oh, guess who we got right here? Been listening the whole freaking time. Oh, and guess what? Thinks and feels the same way about you. Happily ever after. Blah blah blah. I'm a sucker for that stuff. So there was that. But stuff that a scene that I hated was, um, I guess Eric. That scene with Eric in the cell, just like you freaking just weak, worthless, sniveling little Slobnitsky or whatever it is. Just awful, just awful little weasel that was this far away from, ruling the galaxy.
I got a question for you, Shadow. Are you practicing your Russian for when the Empire
No.
crumbles?
I learned that from real men.
Yeah, but you've been doing it a few times up to the night.
Have I really?
Yeah.
I just love that because the way he delivers that, where she calls him that, and he's like, well, "What does that mean?" Oh, just piss that little nothing. I was like, "Well, fuck you," you know. But yeah, it was just the typical. But the way he wrote it, he really made me hate that character. Prior to that, it's like, okay, spoiled rich kid, duh. But then he just turns into the worst, you know. But, yeah. Anything anybody else would like to add about this book? I think we've kind of beat it to death. We're gonna
Yeah, I think so.
the next stuff. Grumpy, you're willing to join you're more than welcome to join the book club if you want to read a book every 2 weeks and talk about it. Because then you also get to pick one out of the Appendix N book club Master's Guide.
I've just been crazy busy with all sorts of stuff. This is
especially the holidays, right?
Yeah. So
well, it's probably
each and every
more
one
than
of us usually waits until the very last day to read the book.
I'm actually having a hard time keeping up with what I quote unquote need to read for my channel. Those old weird tales and whatnot.
Oh, dude, do you have like a link or something like that you could send us for stuff like that? 'Cause
Sure.
I'm trying to buy them in hard copy omnibus version. My dad had the Tales from the Crypt omnibus for like a month. Yeah. Somebody loaned it to him right when it came out, and I just love that stuff. And every time I look for stuff like that, usually the place is no longer up and running on the internet. I found one place, but then I lost it, and I don't even remember what it was. But if you've got something like that, we can share, because I'm a big fan. Yeah. Most people like Justin here will say, "Oh, you got to read some modern stuff." I'm like, "Well, I'm not done reading all the old crap. I want to
sprinkle it in."
So, I'm gonna this year. I am gonna sprinkle in some newer stuff, maybe something from the '80s. Ooh,
yeah. I just put the link in the Discord and under live stream links. It's not a live stream, but it's related to this stream,
yeah, I can transfer it. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. It's these people, they've got like hundreds, if not thousands, of those magazines all scanned in, and you can download PDFs, and they're great. I have a whole bunch on my phone. That's what I read when I'm on the bus going to work.
Really?
Yeah. And then I need to do this after the stream. I need to record my thoughts on what I read today and yesterday. One of the problems is you were talking about how some of those stories are very forgettable. Yeah, some of them I read them and the next day I don't remember them because they're that blah.
I read, I went through half of this book today on YouTube. There's an audio version of it, and I've already forgotten all the names, damn near, of the characters. It's just like, I'm trying, but I'm like, I know I'm never going to use most of this. That's one of the questions we have. Is there anything from this story you guys would use in a game? Crafty, I'll start with you again. Is there anything you'd take from this and maybe use, or the opposite and never use?
Definitely use the Medusa and the poisoned air. I wouldn't make it as extreme, but I would definitely make it like, oh, you don't like being here.
Okay, yeah, I could see both of those being elements I would add. As a matter of fact, uh, I was even thinking about the Medusas. You know how when and where I could use them without people going, "Ah, that's a Medusa." Like, yeah, guilty. You know what I mean? Because
Hmm.
they're not bad as a critter. I don't know that I would make them the big bad alien species, but you're in a dank dark dungeon, or you're under a city somewhere, and there's this one, that would be kind of awesome, especially if you think about it, like in a sci-fi story where there's just one, and he's running
Hmm.
some sort of underworld, you know, scheme thing going on, using some sort of mental powers to so people don't see him for what he is, kind of like an aboleth in Dungeons and Dragons,
Yeah.
where it's got this intricate web of duplicity and crime, and minions who don't realize he's this alien tentacle monster. That would be kind of awesome in a sci-fi story where the heroes finally come face to face with Mr. Big, and it's Mr. Big is slimy and tentacled, and oh yeah, four eyes.
Mhm.
It's just it was actually a little bit more well described than some of H.P. Lovecraft's critters.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? A
Yeah.
lot of them are just they're everything but anything specific. Then this,
Well,
the four eyes.
Lovecraft had mastered the art of suggestion when he described things,
Hmm.
and not
Sometimes he
everybody. Yeah, but when
he's
he really manages to get your mind to imagine most of the creature.
sometimes he's too vague though.
Oh, I agree. But a lot of
Uh,
people fail at it by being way too
yeah,
Specific.
non-descriptive at all.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I put a copy of the list, the reading list,
Mhm.
in the general uh, book chat on your server, Shadow,
Okay.
but it's non-editable, edible,
Editable.
not editable by the viewers because it's a
Mhm.
copy, and I note it on the title and
Okay.
at the top. It should be, but it is a
Yeah.
copy
Yeah.
separate from the one that we're using. That way, some rando just doesn't go in there and like start checking off books we haven't done yet and shit.
Mhm.
And Grumpy, I got to apologize. I didn't know you had a channel. Um,
Oh,
so,
okay.
so everybody go out there and subscribe to Grumpy Old Slan. I'm going to do so in just a minute, and start checking your stuff out, because it seems like you do a lot of the same stuff we like to do, which is,
Mhm.
talk about books,
Yeah.
and how we can use them in our games and things like that. I really didn't know. I mean, I've seen you around for years,
Yeah.
and I just it just slipped
That's
my
fine.
mind.
I'm not exactly the biggest hey, come look at my channel kind of guy.
No, no,
So,
no. That
you
there's
know,
nothing wrong with that. There's lots of us like that, just not me.
yeah.
But you seem to obviously quite a bit about this guy. I cannot wait to learn a little bit more about him. Those there's a lot of writers out there that have like no backstory,
Yeah.
and this guy clearly has a pretty storied backstory.
I just put the link to your channel in the chat. I forgot to title it.
You are the
Sorry,
man.
but anyone watching, that's the link.
Apparently I can't access it from the link. It's okay.
Like,
I won't forget. I'm writing it down.
Yeah.
Um,
you don't need to put that up on the screen.
I know.
Yeah, you should just be able to. Oh, it's
Nope.
because you're trying to click on it inside Restream. You got to do
Yeah.
it from YouTube. It's just text in Restream.
Yeah. I'm sure if you do a search for Grumpy Old Slan on YouTube, you'll find it.
I know. It's
So.
just me being a freaking a boomer or whatever. I don't know. Just
I'm admin. I clicked on your name in the YouTube chat. Shadow doesn't know how computers work.
yeah, I didn't know YouTube was a thing 4 years ago. Give me a break. I literally only used YouTube to watch one video. Whenever I got in the mood to watch that one video from the 80s, I would just go and check it out on YouTube, and then I'd go back to doing other stuff.
What video was the?
Golden Earrings, Twilight Zone.
Oh yeah.
I thought it was a cat playing piano.
No. I meant like a music video, which used to be a thing.
There's music in that.
Oh,
The
okay.
cat is playing the piano after all.
Oh, okay. I probably saw that one at some point.
Yeah.
There's probably someone has a laser pointer and the cat's just
No, it's as funny as that is. What it is that someone's got a shirt on a cat. They're putting the chopsticks through the shirt's arms, so the cat is playing the chopsticks with chopsticks.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever.
Yeah.
That one was literally used as a joke for a while, and it was so popular.
So I think our review is over.
Yes.
It's our determination that this book is old, and all old things suck.
I don't know about that.
Oh, they show their age. Let us be kind. They show their age.
Absolutely. And
Now it doesn't.
Oh! You don't understand. That was me being kind. Just ask Shadow and his film career.
He likes sticking the old man in the ribs every once in a while.
So
every
Shadow,
once in a while, I mean, every chance he gets. Right, Crafting?
yeah. Hey, Shadow, I got a question. You know,
Go for it, bud.
let's see here. Yeah, Off-Grid Gaming.
Yes, we know off-grid gaming.
Well, it's the fact I posted a video in the Appendix book section, and he immediately wanted to friend me.
Yeah,
Oh, he's a good guy.
yeah.
I don't have a problem with it.
also
It's just like
put
I don't know who he is.
You
He's
put that
he's
video in
in
the wrong section.
he's in my Sunday D&D game. He's a good guy. Another Canadian. He's very
Don't
intense.
trust him. He's Canadian.
He's very intense and very pro off-grid and survival. Built a beautiful freaking, just beautiful home out in the middle of nowhere by himself. Apparently, in a year. He's an impressive guy. But
Yeah.
get a couple of pints in him, and the intensity just gets dialed up to 11.
And he starts rambling like some sort of disciple of George Norrie.
I don't know, but I would go George Norrie, but I know what you mean. There's somebody out there.
Not good enough to be Art Bell.
I know I wasn't even thinking like on the woo-woo side because he is kind of more down to earth, not quite Alex Jones either, but he's definitely into, a lot of fringe ideas, let's put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
But, the proof's in the pudding, and he, in a pinch, I would love to have a guy like that on my team.
They're coming for your eyeballs. They're coming for your eyeballs.
So
Yeah, he does get kind of quiet intensity, but
Yeah, we're in the middle of fighting for some dragons or whatever, and he starts talking about them coming for your eyeballs. Like this. Hey, they're coming for your eyeballs.
yeah, but he's a good guy. Crafting. If he wants to be your friend,
Incinerator shut off.
consider that a good thing.
If you want to know about them coming for your eyeballs.
So Justin, what'd you mean I put the video in the wrong part of the Discord? Where should it have gone?
You put the Deja Thora painting video, which I watched earlier before you posted it there, because I'm also subscribed to what's his face. Subscribed. You put it in the book chat when it should go into the model painting one.
I put it in the book chat because it's Deja Taurus.
Who doesn't want to see Deja Thor's just randomly?
No. What I mean,
Put it in both. I can watch plenty of Deja Taurus.
Seriously, I mean, Danger Thor's has her own comic books out. No John Carter, just her.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Isn't that
Shadow,
great?
have you seen
Great.
that
They
video?
look great.
Have you seen that
Oh,
video in your Discord yet?
seriously. You know what's funny too about her? You know, there have been a lot of comic book hotties out there, right?
Mhm.
You know, and I've seen images of Deja Thor's that I'm like, you know, that's not really great. It's not the best artwork. You know what I mean? But
Yep.
it's her, so fuck it. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yep.
It's just like she's the literally. If you ask like most hardcore nerds like ourselves-
That way. Pay attention over there.
Yeah, I was getting to it. I just wanted to finish my sentence.
No, you don't speak. You show a picture of Deja Thor's.
Okay, this will say it all, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. See, she's literally the hottest woman in science fiction or fantasy,
Yeah.
hands down. Nobody, and it's not because of any one image. It's because Edgar Rice Burroughs said so.
Yep.
You know what I
Do
mean?
what Edgar Rice Burroughs says.
And
No,
this
I mean,
week's
literally
video
that's-
is sponsored by Abe 3D.
Yeah, I don't care.
Before I paint it,
We're gonna meet you. We'll just play that in the background. I'll tell you. We should have.
Well, because he picked the word. You know, he picked the right word. You know what I'm talking about?
Mhm.
What did he call Deja Thor's? The incomparable. No one can compare to her.
Which, as far as I'm concerned, a bit of lazy writing, but I get the point.
Yeah.
And yet,
This is why you gotta learn how to airbrush, boys.
I am learning.
So I get to paint Deja Thor's? Okay.
Oh yeah. Properly.
Yeah, a little too chunky in the butt, but whatever.
Yeah.
As a real thing for thighs lately.
Yeah, I don't get that. at all.
Those aren't bad thighs, though.
But it's funny because I hey, what's up, Connell?
Oh, okay.
I literally can't think of any science fiction or fantasy character gets a more unanimous vote,
Yep.
Mhm.
and yet the whole John Carter lore doesn't get as much love.
This is true.
Yep.
And so, thank you, Edgar, for all that you did. And Connell, here's the thing with Mary Jane Watson. She was also Jean Grey. She was also every other redheaded character in Marvel Comics up to a certain point. They were all Mary Jane Watson. She just had like a dozen secret identities.
Yeah.
Seriously, if you go back, it's the same character.
Mhm.
Everything about her, the way she talks, the way she acts, everything, it's always the same, like cut out paper doll kind of character. Maybe later on, other people were able to flesh that out and distinguish the differences between, Jean Grey and Mary Jane and the other redheaded characters in Marvel Comics. But it was just like, I've never met one redhead, no offense, ladies, that was like the way they elevated her.
Yeah.
Just never.
I've met a few.
Well, as Bear has put it, most redheads are egotistic, self-centered, egotistical. Basically,
I haven't
self-obsessed
met-
because most of society raises redheads above other people.
I've never encountered that, and I've never encountered a woman like that. When it came to redheads, they were always like rather meek and subdued.
Most of society denigrates redheads at all chance they can get.
Yeah, right. That's exactly what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
they're soulless, subhuman animal creatures.
And I don't really have an opinion either way. Not my cup of tea, but
Yeah.
And every single one of them, even if they know their own parents, are stepchilds.
Mhm.
It's just
Kinda.
a fact. I watched the what was that movie that our buddy there from Three's Company. He was the father. Problem Child.
Oh, John Ritter.
John Ritter. Yeah. Problem Child.
Yeah.
Remember those movies?
Vaguely.
Yeah.
It's been a while. I kind of get really bummed out when I think about him. We miss him and stuff. Since he was a friend of the family, it's just, I know you're supposed to remember people, but when I do, uh,
Bye, Slan.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. My connection keeps cropping. It's getting me really annoyed.
okay, well, you're always welcome back, bro.
Yeah, for sure.
And,
for sure.
Yeah. This
next
is where we
time,
find out Slan is a redhead.
No. No one in my family is a redhead, as far as I know.
they just dye their hair.
Yeah. Well, maybe. Yeah. I was gonna say, except my cousin when they dropped that cat of red paint on their head, but that's a long story. Anyway, I'll see you guys around. If
Take
I don't
care,
talk
man.
to you
Take care.
before,
Yeah.
happy holidays.
You
Take
too,
good
man.
care.
You too.
Yeah. Merry
They are
Christmas,
products,
bro.
are they not?
Yeah.
And thanks again for coming in and helping us out with this, because we literally would have just crapped all over him and
I'm okay with that.
and never given him a second chance. So thank you for that, bro.
Yep.
Yep.
Damn you being the sign of a level head.
Hey, you know what?
Party on,
we
bro.
love being proven wrong and admitting it, or giving people.
Yeah, it's much more fun being calcitrant.
I know, but Grumpy's a good dude, and
Yeah.
think about it. He showed us that this guy wasn't just a lucky hack.
Oh,
You guys know how I feel like about Golden Earring. They literally the hardest working band ever. Okay, I don't care what you say about the Stones, Apple.
fuck the Stones.
I got a quick thing to say. Raven McMinney. Now you have to join us.
Oh, there's your fucking popped up. That's not cool. That's like a cult ritual crap.
Yeah.
And we already got a Raven for that.
Wow. But with Golden Earring being as hardworking as they are, and apparently Jack being also as hardworking and doing some amazing stuff, writing. I mean, what a lucky bastard! Getting to write for 80 years of your life. Doing one of the coolest things you can get to do. As a career, and get 80 years out of it. Dang.
Yeah. I'm just saying, if we go back to this guy, can we do something that was written after the 80s?
Oh, absolutely. I honestly would like to read, I hate to say this, but if there is such a thing, his last book. We read his first.
Well,
Reading
we
his
could
last,
do that as a specialty stream where we compare his last to his first.
maybe as one of the early episodes we do when we break away from the actual appendix and list.
Well, go to the like I said, go to the original list that I created.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can still edit it, and just make a note.
Mm-hmm.
Just add it at the end of the list of books. Oh, and there were only four Legion of Space books.
Oh, and Shadow, I was actually thinking, one of the things we could do, especially given the fact we're starting to hit a lot of duds, is maybe occasionally veer from the appendix end to stuff we pretty confident everyone will actually like. Not necessarily constantly, just like every once in a while, like, okay, we don't know we're actually going to get a good book this time. Here's something I'm pretty confident is good.
Maybe every fifth book or something like that, or fourth book, or
well, the problem with that is, it's really subjective, isn't it?
Mhm.
You know, some of the things that I really, really love, you guys hate, and vice versa.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
well, that's
So,
fair. Well,
I mean, I've been very surprised with some of the things because I'm always able to find something good in these books, even if it's a tiny little nugget. I'm still
yeah.
better for having read something awful, especially wanting to be a writer, reading awful books.
It's just as important as reading good ones.
Yeah,
Well, I'm not saying let's stop using the Appendix N. I'm just
no, I totally get it.
an excellent example. I know I'm kind of harping on this, but it's
I'll tell
one
you
of the
what. I'll
few.
tell you what
Oh,
we
go
do,
ahead.
guys. I had a great idea. We
Yeah.
got a new year coming up, just right around the corner, right? Okay. What I'm going to do is because somebody did this for me recently. Well, almost a year ago. Birthday books. Your birthday month, you get to pick any book. What do you say?
Yeah.
Like your favorite book or whatever,
Yeah, that
something like that. Something you've been
definitely
dying to
sounds good to
share
me.
with us, or what have you. And you don't have to, give us the exact day of your birthday. Just say I'm calling in my birthday marker, if you will. And this month we're doing that.
You do realize during your month, Connell will show in every single day, every single show. Just go, "Happy birthday, Shadow," just because he doesn't know when your birthday is.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And
What day's your birthday, Shadow?
it's in April.
April what?
It's
First?
in April.
It's April
It's definitely
1st,
not
isn't
April
it?
1st.
It's April 1st, isn't it?
It is not April 1st. I swear to God.
Trust me, I know you're a prank on all of humanity, so it has to be April 1st.
Yeah, he was born on April 1st before there was a calendar.
Right. It was my
Yeah.
idea to turn April 1st into April Fool's Day because I am a
An
fool.
absolute fool.
So what do you think? Birthday markers sound good? Because that still gives us another book in that month.
Yeah.
Unless two people have their birthday that
right.
month.
Anybody's birthday in April?
No.
I'm a March baby.
Okay, see?
July.
There you go. Right off the bat, and everybody else, who sees this, who's included in the club. Raven, you're there. Colin, if you want to join the club, you know what to do. The dues are due every month.
Yeah,
First
they're
of the month.
payable to me. $995.
And I will need a copy of your W-2 form, your Social Security number, driver's license, photograph, and next of kin.
And just so you know, as soon as you're done with that, I have a bridge over Lake Pendoriella I can sell you.
There you go.
You've already been paid up in advance, bro. I'm trying to get $995 at a Connell.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah.
So,
$995.
what shall we read?
It's $995.
You actually have to join the book club. Actually, be part. I should say. I know you joined it, but you have to actually be actively participate in the book club to get to choose a book, Raven.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you? Well, I don't know. Anybody want to read that?
The
I don't even know what
Myths
it
of
is.
Avalon.
I think
Is it
I
on the
have a
list?
copy of it, to be honest. I'll tell you what, Raven. If you can find us a free audio copy of it, we'll give it a go. What the hell?
So
But you cannot miss the show. You got to be here from beginning to end for the show in order for that to work. Because I'm not reading somebody's book, and while they're just sitting off there laughing in the corner, not on camera and shit.
yeah.
All right.
Sticking their thumb in pie.
And I want pie.
Yeah, so do I.
Oh, you'll want pie with the game I'm working on.
Peach cobbler, vanilla ice cream.
Pie is the highest experience base you can get.
Oh.
Really?
Yep.
Okay, so that will definitely like fucking pad out that book. It's like all the pies and like pictures of them, and then what they like little boosts they add to you,
Which he's
and
an
like,
expert on doing.
and then there's
not a bad
like
idea.
like a recipe for that pie.
Oh yeah.
Just
I was already planning on filling out the book with some recipes and pictures, but giving bonuses with specific ones, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
It's not like you haven't done that before, right?
That is true.
Yeah.
with your Skies book.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Well, I'm close to 200 pages with that, and well over 60,000 words,
Yeah.
good for you, bro.
and it is far from done. And I'm worst part is I can't just go, I gotta trim that. It's like, no, there's certain things I actually have to add more to the book, like proper descriptions of the
Okay, now I
cultures.
don't want to read that book. It's a story of King Arthur told from a woman's point of view.
Sounds like a Raven book.
No, it's Anne McCaffrey, isn't it?
No. I mean, it sounds like a book she would choose.
No, I know, but I think it's by Anne McCaffrey. Um, which I'll give it to you is better than Marion Zimmer Bradley. Don't read anything by her. She was a monster. Just saying.
Marion Zimmer Bradley.
Yeah, she was a monster.
What did she do?
Horrible things to her children or daughter.
Okay, what did she write?
She wrote the Darkover series, which was very, very popular back when I was a youngster.
Yeah.
And I mean, I could be wrong again. And she was a wonderful, wonderful human being, and people just made shit up about her. But that's what I heard, and allegedly, and I keep hearing it every time her name gets brought up.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the Darkover series was interesting. I'll give you that. But having read it and now I've read several of them. There was even a game, believe it or not, a Darkover game by like Avalon Hill or something. But I could see from things that I read in her book that the things that were said about her could very well be true. But
Okay. So, did you want to pick a book?
well, do you guys want to force Raven to wait until next December?
What is her birthday
We're
this
starting
month?
in the new year, so yeah, it's next December. You said we're starting that in the new year.
Oh, she's gonna kill me. You know that, right?
You said it. You said it before she even wrote the book thing.
Yeah. So what are we gonna read then?
I was thinking we'd do Lee Brackett, the first one on his list. He's the next guy after Paul Anderson that we haven't finished.
Okay, real quick. I thought that was a woman's name.
Lee Brackett. Maybe. I'm not looking at it right now, so I could have the wrong name. The third person.
Ooh. Sorry, I'm kind of half looking at things I need to see about purchasing. And
Okay, Raven, go look her up and type in the word controversy, if you will.
Mm-hmm. There's this book, Queen of the Martian Catacombs.
Is that one listed, or is that just one of her books?
It's listed.
Okay, I don't remember that one. What the hell happened out here?
Why is it not? Well, I've got the I found it on YouTube already. So unless you want something else,
No, no.
it literally doesn't matter to you.
Nope. I've for the most part, except for going back to Amber, which I don't want to do yet. I want to read some more stuff because what's the date today? 19th, I think.
Yeah, we're meeting in the new year. I think.
Yeah.
It'll be the 2nd.
Justin, did you get a chance to check out that soundboard link I sent you, or whatever the heck these things are called?
No. Today is the 19th. Yes, the next time we meet is on the 2nd of January. Yeah,
Sorry,
so
what?
the 2nd would be the next book club meeting.
Uh, okay.
I've already put the video up in there. It's a shorter book too, so 2.5 hours. Oh wait, no, that's okay, 2.5 hours. Just notice it said part 1, but it's broken up in sections in the video. They
The
added
only
that
thing I
feature.
could say is that I could see because of the holidays, it getting pushed back another week.
Yeah,
And
so
we'll
either the
take we'll
7th
take
or
it.
the 9th. Yeah, or the 2nd or the 9th.
Yeah.
I should be here.
Yeah, I don't see any problem for me either, other than trying to listen to the book on the first to get through it by the second.
Yeah,
But
or you could just listen to it on the 2nd, like I do. It's only
how
two
long
and a
is it?
half hours long, so
Oh, really?
yeah. So yeah, um, I'm gonna go hit the end of it really quick and see if it is the
Full?
yeah.
Raven, uh, go look up Marion Zimmer Bradley and child abuse. Just saying.
Yeah, yeah, it's the whole thing.
Okay.
7. It's 7 parts to the book. So if you see like part 1 at the beginning, it's just because the file is broken up. Uh, daughter. Her daughter was a harpist. Marion Zimmer Bradley.
Hmm.
Moria Greyland.
And Raven, you've got the link. Why don't you just come on in?
The Mists of Avalon. Yeah, The Mists of Avalon was written by Marion Zimmer. Uh, uh, Gay and lesbian pulp fiction. She wrote gay and lesbian pulp fiction. I'm
But were
trying
the
to.
accusations verifiable or uh,
Uh,
just to
child
affect?
sexual abuse allegations. In 2000, after Bradley's death, her daughter. Ooh, yeah.
A little too spicy, you think?
Stephen Golden, uh, the stepfather of the boy who had been molested. Yeah, no, looks like if you go to Wikipedia, there's a section down uh, where it says this
Hmm.
from the ages of 3 to 12. Ew. It's not even like she was 17 and I was 19 kind of bullshit. It was like real kids.
Yeah, and I've heard this stuff for a good long time. I mean, um, I don't want to promote someone like that in any way, shape, or form. I imagine Raven's looking up all the stuff we're talking about. That's why she's not here to uh, yell at us. So what's the story we're reading about? What is there like a blurb we can come
Yeah,
with real quick?
I I would have to. I
Okay,
didn't actually look it up.
okay, just stab in the dark, grab a title, and knock it off the list. I'm okay with that.
We finished the guy above him, and I looked it up before realizing that it was the third name on the list and not the first or the second.
And I do know Lay Bracket is a pretty well known name out there. Watch out, you.
What? Yeah.
I've many memories of seeing books by that author in the used bookstore.
So, the Avalon books, the person that continued writing them after what's
Bradley?
her face died, was appalled, and I think she stopped writing them because of it,
Yeah,
because the series wasn't finished.
yeah, I can see how that could put a damper on one's career if they continued on with that. If that, uh,
Oh,
since for the most part they were just accusations.
yeah.
It's hard to believe uh,
In
that someone would make
2009.
that stuff up. I mean, unless there was some real, friction going on.
Well, after she was dead, there would be no purpose unless it was true. And
Kind of.
it was like one of these, like, the stepfather moved in and then they both started molesting the daughter kind of
That's
things.
that's.
Yeah.
I can't. I can't. No matter how good the book is, I just. Uh, you guys all know how I am about child abuse,
Yeah.
and not because I was a victim of anything like that, but my previous line of work just and it's a shame, because she had a career that I grew up hearing about. Gosh, from the time I was 14 on, I probably read half a dozen of her books from the Darkover series, and they were chock full of similar things. So I am inclined to believe it's true. Obviously, a lot of that could have been written before those things happened, but it doesn't sound like it at all. It sounds like the timeline matches up when she was writing about that stuff in her Darkover books. That
Yeah.
maybe there was some real life experiences being discussed, which is also pretty horrific. You know,
The Dark Over anthologies.
yeah.
Uh, the Keeper's Price. Sword of Chaos. That's really sad. Oh,
Well, it's also inexcusable.
yeah. Oh, and there was an actual series of novels too.
Sorry, what?
Oh, I'm just looking over her bibliography. Uh, Fucking disgusting. Kid diddling is just wrong.
Mm-hmm. Especially your own. That's just that's just mixes up a whole bunch of deplorable behavior. On the what one would expect to be the least deserving, the least um, acceptable, the least. It should be literally the highest punishment imaginable for that sort of a thing. You do something like that, it's what do we say, Justin?
Uh, White phosphorus.
There we
Lots and
go.
lots of fucking white phosphorus, motherfucker.
Yeah, you know,
Slowly from the toes up.
and unfortunately, unless she recants her accusations, we'll only have her word to go by, or maybe other people's words to go by. Um, and thus in a way we'll never know. But I can't believe that someone would make up such a story with nothing to gain from it after her passing.
Yeah, it's one thing. Like I could see it being made up if you had something to gain,
Mhm.
but like you said, if you have nothing to gain, why make it up?
Yeah.
Um,
And unfortunately, the argument that does come to mind is why not say something sooner? But uh, as
Fear,
we all know, a lot of
shame.
times the shame and the pain and anguish sometimes is too much for these people, these poor victims of such things, that they just can't. It takes a lot of time to be able to steel oneself and to be courageous enough to say something.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. I don't know.
I can't even imagine what that's got to be like. The people on the planet you're supposed to trust the most, and you can't. It's just
Fucking disgusting.
horrific. So, way to bring the show down, Raven. Why don't you get in
Yeah.
here? What are you waiting
Yeah.
Start juggling chainsaw. No, I mean cats.
for?
I remember I don't have to yell. I have a microphone in my face now.
Yeah.
You you got a headset or?
Yeah. Well, my new computer works with my old wireless headset, but it doesn't really like my old mic. So, I mean, it would, but I have to do a lot of adapting because of the plugs it's got.
Oh, I fucking hate that. Yeah, I wish they would all switch over to the USB-C sooner than later and make
Yeah.
it standard on everything.
Same here.
I would have no problem if they started, if the government started fining companies that used a different port.
Yeah, I
The
really should.
purpose is e-waste, right? Like that's why the EU said to Apple, "No, you gotta this is the port you're using. It's your port. Put it on everything. Don't change it." Because they were doing that for a while. There is the only innovation between the last iPhone and this iPhone is that you need to buy a different cable.
Huh, that's not really an innovation, isn't it? Is it?
No, it's annoying, and you got 30 fucking cables that you can't use for anything, but you don't want to throw out just in case you got something that needs it. Or well, you wouldn't know that because you never go to the freaking store and order another goddamn cable. You need a second one. You got 18 devices in one cable.
Yep, I do. Well, one device uses the old style, and it still kind of works, but yeah.
Yeah, it's like
And none of those like kits that have like all the different plug attachments, those never work. I've never had them work, and most of my devices are real picky, and they'll tell me you're using the wrong cable to charge this. It's not going to charge for shit. Come back
Yeah.
tomorrow. It might be halfway. You know.
I just threw a wire out, the one that came with my my water pump, because it was doing that. It's supposed to just be a USB C or C3 or whatever. The old one with the slants instead of the rounded edges.
And the little bump on it.
Uh,
You know what I mean?
bump.
The one of the ones I have has got like this, like sort of little flange thing sticking up
You'd have to show
at the
me.
end of it. I don't know.
Ah,
I prefer the round lozenge sort of shaped ports
Yeah.
much better.
because it goes in either way. It doesn't care.
And it's
up or
nice and
down.
smooth, and
Yeah.
because the other one I always worried that little raised area in the middle was going to catch or break off or bend or something. It was really,
Raised area in the middle.
it's like a little bump at the very end as you plug it in. There was a little
Like a tooth?
kind of almost
Yeah. That thing's on a spring. Don't need to worry about it.
right, but
Yeah. Whatever. We've been just kind of talking in circles for the last 20 minutes.
yeah. Well, trying to get off that other topic.
Yeah.
I will be doing a show Saturday where we're going to talk about new creatures, chimeras, things that mankind will have created from whole cloth in the 25th, 26th century, I guess it is.
Yeah.
Weird, uh, new life forms that mankind will create or discover that we can use as various pets and livestock and new additions to the animal kingdom in the future.
Sex
I
slaves.
will, if that's what you want to write about and bring to the show, you're more than welcome to do so, because that, I don't know if that would qualify under the synthetic human kind of thing, or how you want to work that into the.
I probably won't show up, but I was kind of making a joke about Justin's cat girls.
Oh, okay.
Oh. Fucking.
You got a game this weekend with Bruce?
No, but I look at it this way: if I'm going to show up for every other one, especially if you're going to do a game about it afterwards, there's really no point in me showing up.
Oh, say that again. I'm sorry, I didn't understand that.
I said I look at it this way: if you're gonna, especially if you're gonna make a game out of this at some point, and I'm only showing up every other time, there's really no point in me showing up to begin with. So I'm not gonna be with it.
We still want you there, bro.
Yeah, it's part of the to help you and everybody else feel more attached to the world that we're creating, as opposed to just a tourist who knows nothing. Part of the experiment is to see if it helps make a better game by having people help make the game. You see what I'm saying?
No,
I
the
see.
world. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. I've been in the background trying to create an image of Crafting's character wearing a hat there. But this is the best I've been able to do so far. I'm giving up because it's been 2 hours. I sent it to you, bro. I'm giving up. That's the best I can get Stable Diffusion to do.
I feel like I've seen that image before.
Yeah. It's Crafting's character image, but with a stupid red hat. Best I could do.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
That art style is very reminiscent of the Dragon Magazine Wormy character from the comic strips in the back of Dragon Magazine. I wonder if it's the same artist.
Well, it was done by an art generator.
Right, but the original.
No, the original, the one Crafting has down there as his avatar pick.
Uh-huh.
It was done by an art generator as well.
Oh, really? I wonder if it somehow picked up upon that. Because if you're interested, you can just look up the comic strip Wormy, Wormy. That just screams that art style. So
Probably. What was the prompt that you used? You did it in Canva? Was it Canva?
Yeah. No. This was actually done with the Imavai, whatever the heck it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one.
Night Cafe?
No.
No.
Okay.
The other
Indigram?
one. Indigram.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We always make fun because it's got a fucking weird name.
Yep.
Okay.
Candygram. That one.
And I just said I usually do simple prompts and then add based off of what I get afterwards because that tells me what I feel like I'm missing. But this one was just simply or because I know it's like a hobgoblin or whatever you called it, orange skin one side. I said orc in his cave, miniatures in the background, painted miniatures in the background, painting a miniature with his hand. Painting a miniature, and this is what I got.
Okay.
Yeah. And I took that into Stable Diffusion, which is the one I have on my computer, and I just inpainted above the head and said red Santa hat, and then it just gave me nothing. And I added like with pom pom and white stuff, and it just kept doing the hat, but with like white stuff all over it. So
You didn't just say Santa Claus hat?
yeah. Oh, I should have said claws. It just said Santa hat the first time, and it gave me nothing. Like it erased the top of his head.
Okay. All right, folks. Well, I'm going to call it in just about a minute. Anything else? Justin's got his show in the morning.
Yeah.
You want to tell everybody about that in case they haven't seen it?
We're extending the writing challenge again. Crafting's got
An idea.
12 and a half hours, something like that. I don't know. 15 or so to write one to beat Raven. Because, he's definitely going to beat Raven. Raven.
What are you waiting
Well,
on?
I could beat her for the first chapter, that's for sure.
I don't know. She could be writing right now.
I doubt it. I doubt it. She's got 2 scenes, maybe 3. I haven't checked since.
Yeah, I cranked out a bunch more pages last night. I broke 100, and
Sweet.
I probably have at least 10 more to go.
So, Shadow, when is the Femdom dragon with the giant strap-on coming into play?
Funny you should mention. They are fighting a rather Gorgon, not Minotaur, but bull type reptile. I suppose I could slip something in there.
Yeah.
I'm not, but I suppose
I want at least one of them to say, that's kind of hot.
If it's a bull-like creature,
He's thinking about it. He's thinking about it.
If it's a bull-like creature, you really should describe a
schlong scene that comes after that.
Around.
Where they bring some male slaves into the arena. But that's not going to happen either because Amazon would say, no, you can't do that. So,
well, as long as it's like consensually aggressive,
it wouldn't be anything of the sort.
Like I clearly just established that my female character is into the idea of the 2 Minotaurs when the Minotaurs get a little kind of aggressive on her. So, dubious consent. They call it dubious consent.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't expecting to do this, but now that you mention it.
Yikes. All right, folks. My battery's about to die, which is weird because I've only been doing this for 2 hours.
He'll be in the green room for like an hour. Don't
Well,
listen
I
to
can go
him.
down to the green room and plug in, but up here, there's no such cables are around here for some reason. That's one
Yeah,
of the things I'm
they're
going to
still at
change.
the store where I keep telling them to buy one.
Yeah, I'm going to work on that over Christmas vacation. But that's one of the changes I'm going to make with the studio is bring the plug up here.
What
Uh,
type
so
of what type of plug does that computer need?
it, it's the lozenge shape, and
The
it's got a
CD.
little
Okay.
transformer on it. Uh,
Okay.
but part of the reasons why when it does work, it works like a freaking charm. I can charge this thing up in like less than 30 minutes from almost as you know.
It's like $16 off of Amazon. You get a good one.
I was looking at it at the place I got the computer from, and they're like 35. But I because it's
Yeah.
a literal replacement for this laptop, which I'm thinking, you know what, if I get a replacement, I know exactly what to expect and what and having two
Yeah.
chargers that can go into fast charge mode kind of sounds like something I want to do, but
I remember getting the cords, the old cords for laptops. It was like $140 before they switched from the barrel plug.
yeah, and they had the big ass transformer on them.
Capacitors, yeah. $140. I talked a girl out of buying one
Ooh, it's
at the store.
1924 and the rural electrification program at Shadows Ranch. Yeah, something like that. Welcome to
Yeah,
the show, Paul. We're actually just winding down, ending the
yeah.
show. But please, if you haven't
We're a
been here the
minute
whole time,
over.
rewind it, watch the whole show, share it out to all your friends, and go read the book or not. Um, I got a little bit out of it. Everybody got a little bit less out of it, I think, than I did.
That seems to be most of the books.
Yeah,
Well,
I have a feel.
I'm not going to say I'm less discerning, but I look for more positive out of it. If I'm going to do something, I really want to get
Yeah,
as much out of it as I can.
yeah.
Because every time I read a new book, I forget an old book. So
I also think I also think it's a byproduct of us reading more modern stuff with more
sure,
developed writing. You
could
haven't
be.
read anything that was written after 1962, so
That's not true.
that is
I've read stuff
absolutely
from the
true.
'80s.
Except for Playboy, well, Playgirl.
Yeah,
You've read Playgirl uh,
that's not true.
after
But
1962.
uh,
Uh,
trying to see if there's anything more recent other than game books because I read a ton of those. Um,
uh, Schlong magazine.
I think the Magician Apprentice series is probably the most recent thing I've read. And that was in the '80s or '90s. I'd have to go look it
Yeah.
up.
In July, I'm just gonna say pick something written by David Weber.
Okay, well that's
Uh,
8 months away, 7 months away.
yeah, 7 months
So
from now. So, yeah, I recommend a few books, but yeah, I'll give you a bunch, and you guys can pick from them. And if I have it, I'll put it in a Google Drive, and you guys can download it.
okay, I'm sure there's probably an audiobook.
More modern stuff is harder to find on YouTube, bro.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay, I can kind of
Well,
see.
well, there also was that huge wave of monetization for a while, or it still is really out there, but still, which makes a lot of more modern books hard to find on YouTube.
yeah.
Okay.
Well,
All right, guys. I will see you tomorrow morning. I'm going to go write some more trashy science fantasy for the writing challenge. And I will see you
yeah.
guys in the morning.
No actual erotica like you were
See
supposed
everybody.
to. Bye.
Happy trails, folks, and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. And only Christmas. All you other holidays at this time, get bent. Yeah,
Yep.
David
Bolo.
Weber wrote some Bolo books, but
Awesome. I love Bolo. So
yeah, but probably not those ones because I haven't actually listened to any of those ones. I want to
well,
listen to the older ones and I can't find them.
yeah, they're hard to find. I've got some of them. but I'm trying to read them in order, and that puts me way behind.
Well, that's why I haven't done the David Weber ones, because they're like near the end of the series.
Take care, guys.
See ya.
Yeah.